What do we make of this announcement made by President Ramaphosa last night regarding a crackdown on undocumented migrants? And of course, more importantly, the backstory of this is the repercussions for the migrants, for the countries they're returning to, and for us here in South Africa.
Let me start it in this way, Julie. In December 1994, armed youths started attacking people, physically attacking people with murderous outcomes in Alexandra Township in December 1994 on what was the start of xenophobic violence in South Africa. There was no new census that was out. There were no new economic statistics that had been distributed in Alex about unemployment or anything like that. But there were instigators who had started that without any scientific data to back up what they did. That trend has repeated itself until 2026. Even in 2026, there is no scientific data to suggest that South Africa is overwhelmed by illegal immigrants. That data does not exist. It's not there. But there is data from UCT and other places to show that our population of immigrants as a whole, whether they are European, African, or whatever nature they are, is within the limits of what a country of this size and economic status would normally accommodate. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say is that this nation, through many campaigns after World War II, more especially, through the United Nations and through the Organization of African Unity, subscribed to human rights, and those human rights cover every single person who is on South African soil. Therefore, you cannot grab a person and do anything to them that the court did not authorize you to do, or the law expressly authorized you to do that. So the problems we have are situations where South Africans themselves are ignoring the directives of the United Nations, which gave them this freedom, the directives of the Organization of African Unity, which gave us this freedom through the Harare Declaration, and are ignoring the constitution of this republic without any scientific data. There are no specific or consequential ramifications, for instance, for Malawi or any of the SADC countries, if there's going to be deportations from here. It's a matter of very little consequence in terms of, for instance, this government does not even have the capacity to round up all the people that it claims it can round up. This is not even going to happen, by the way, this thing that we are talking about.
So, how do you suppose you're suggesting that there aren't any stats to prove or disprove the issue around migration or illegal, undocumented immigrants in the country? You've also said that it is within the specifications for South Africa and other countries to contain the number of immigrants, European and other immigrants from probably the Middle East and Africa as well. If we don't have stats, how are we able to dispel the flare-ups of xenophobic attacks against especially African migrants, undocumented and otherwise? That's the one issue. The second issue is, if we're saying that there isn't a surplus of immigrants in the country, undocumented immigrants, then the question is, how is it that we're having illegal settlements or squatter settlements coming up, mushrooming up all over the country, all around the country, to the point that it's becoming a huge problem. And clearly, it's apart from being an eyesore, but the sad situation is that the people living in those settlements are at risk. Their health is at risk. Their safety is at risk. They don't have proper sanitation and other services. How can we as a country allow such situations to proliferate and create not only an eyesore, but definitely a serious health risk to the people in those settlements?
So
Professor.
I think that we need to be so careful as to who does not use statistics. We cannot say that we don't have statistics. We have them. What we can talk about is who does not use them. So what I said to you is that UCT has actually prepared the estimates, and it will always be an estimate. It's a statistical estimate. And the University of Pretoria and Wits University they can give you a number to say, this is the number. So that number will be between 3 million and 4.2 total of African, Asiatic, and European immigrants into South Africa. Total, all of them, all in. So we do know that. That is why we can say that our immigrant population has not exceeded known norms of how this thing normally goes. Now, coming to the issue of the proliferation of squatter camps in South Africa, before the year 2009, South Africa was producing and delivering between 100 to 200,000 new RDP houses per year. Today, we are delivering 38,000. After 2009, the number started going down. It's at about 38,000 and going down, not up. Now, clearly, if you are urbanizing the population, the South African population, and you are not building the houses at the rate that they were being built at the time. So what was happening during and I'm sorry to say this, the Mbeki presidency, the squatter camps were actually reducing. People were getting into RDP housing. Jobs, unemployment, long-term unemployment was reducing. After 2009, from 2009 onwards, the opposite drastically happened. You move the GDP growth rate from 5% to 0.45%, around half a percent. We are now a 1% GDP growth rate nation instead of 5.4, which is stipulated in the NDP. The housing has diminished, even in Cape Town, right there in the middle of the city, next to Greenpoint Stadium, there is a squatter camp there. On my road here, there are squatter camps here on my road, 2 of them. The people who stay in those squatter camps are not foreigners. Those are Botswanas. They've invaded my land. They are Botswanas. They've beaten me up. I've been to court for suffering assault with the intent to cause grievous. I've had 20 court cases with those people. They are 1.1 kilometers from my house. I can walk there quickly. So the whole notion that these squatter camps are populated by foreigners, if there is such a notion, is false. It's an outright lie. It's unscientific, it's mischievous, it's misguided. The issue of the proliferation of squatter camps revolves around a government since 2009 that has abandoned the people of South Africa. I'm not even talking about what they are doing to foreigners. They've abandoned us. This government, including the GNU, is committing economic genocide on Black South Africans as we speak today.
So clearly the government once again has failed its people. Let's go for an ad break, Sandile, and when we come back, we'll further this discussion regarding the repatriation of undocumented migrants from South Africa, which Ramaphosa is promising is going to address the problem, all sorts of problems related to economics in the country, jobs, health, education, etc., etc. We're going to take a closer look at that matter, but I am certain I know what your answer is going to be. Once again, the failure of government. It is exactly 8:15. This is News and Views on Salam Media.
You know, it's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
More than 800 million people around the world live in deep poverty, uncertain of where the next meal will come from. For those on the brink of starvation, a food pact means survival, dignity, and hope. Send food, send kindness. Be the reason a family does not go hungry. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Are you banking with convenience, transparency, and flexibility? With Al Barakah Bank's transactional banking account, you can enjoy convenient everyday banking designed around your needs. Benefit from zero fees on point-of-sale transactions and manage your banking easily through Al Barakah's secure mobile banking app and internet banking platform. From everyday payments to managing your personal or business banking, Al Barakah makes banking simple, transparent, and convenient. Visit albarakah.co.za to learn more. Al Barakah, your partner bank. Al Barakah Bank Limited is an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Africa. Give the gift of clean water with Africa Muslims Agency. With every water well or borehole you donate, your drop becomes a river, reconnecting communities to nourishment, education, dignity and empowerment. Sponsor a water well for 17,000 Rand in Africa or a borehole for 65,000 Rand in Afghanistan or Africa. Quench the thirst. Reconnect the soul with Africa Muslims Agency.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Welcome back. It's exactly 19 minutes after 8 o'clock. My guest is, of course, political and governance analyst Sandile Swana. We're talking about the statement made by President Cyril Ramaphosa regarding undocumented immigrants in South Africa. He also further goes on to state that government has listened and has a plan to tackle the issue. And he goes on to say, I quote, the first part of our response is a concerted crackdown on violations of existing immigration, labor and other laws. And the Department of Home Affairs, Border Management Authority and the South African Police Services and other law enforcement agencies have been and will intensify the process of identifying and deporting undocumented foreign nationals residing illegally in South Africa. quite a statement there, isn't it, Sandile? And given what you've already shared with us earlier on, I'm kind of wondering if this is just empty promises yet again, and are innocent people going to be unnecessarily persecuted?
Yes. So, obviously, we don't know. There's no clear strategy. There's no strategy that tells us that this ocean, the beach line of South Africa, how is it going to be secured as an entry point of illegal immigrants? Because we don't have the equipment to secure that as a border. And our beach line is very long, by the way. We know today, as we sit here in this show, that we don't have the capacity to secure the borders with Mozambique, with Swaziland, with Lesotho, with Namibia, with Botswana, with Zimbabwe. The length of our borders compared to our capacity that we physically have to secure that border right now in 2026, in fact, over the next 3 years, we're not going to be able to secure those borders. So that whole ocean front is an entry point that is virtually uncontrolled. Our borders are virtually uncontrolled. On top of that, okay, let me explain why this is relevant. The current situation is that if you deport X number of people, let's say 100, probably 65 of them are coming back within the next 4 weeks, back into South Africa and continue their lives as usual. So to say you are emptying the country of illegal immigrants when you have no way of keeping them out, actually, all that is going to do is to enrich the transport providers, as has happened in the United States. People have become very rich with the current programs of deporting people in the friends of Trump and others. They've become very rich. And I worry that we're now getting into that scam in South Africa. That money could actually be used in job creation, direct investment in South Africa, as opposed to what it is being used for now. I have no confidence that we are able to control. Our military used to control the border in South Africa during apartheid. Successfully, it was not easy for South Africans to move as they wish. But our military has been watered down to a Mickey Mouse. And there's evidence. They went to the DRC. They were captured by the MR23 rebels, and their equipment was captured, totally neutralized. The ones that went to reinforce, I think when I tried to calculate the distance, I think they were about 1,500 kilometers away from the battlefront. And they never moved any further than that to move closer to the battlefront. So you are talking about an army and a navy that is unable to protect the borders of South Africa. The police in the Madlanga Commission, who are supposed to be the ones who are checking who's in the country, who's committing which crimes, are actually drug dealers. They are actually people who are fidgeting with dockets and evidence. They are corrupt. They are criminals. So it is unreasonable. My view is that MKP, March on March and so on, need to humble themselves, sit down with the Minister of Home Affairs and develop a long-term plan of how the system will be cleaned out systematically and re-establish a nation with integrity. We don't have that at the moment. So it's a fantasy. All that we're going to do here is to involve ourselves in bloodthirsty activities, in cruelty to humanity, and in violations of the charters of the United Nations and African Union, and in violation of our own constitution by conducting reckless activities that can never produce a positive outcome.
And the sad reality is, of course, once again, it points to a very corrupt government. I think we've as a country been really going downhill. We're on our knees right now on every front. I must say that the issue around the porous borders along our beach lines never ever occurred to me in the past. We do know how very well protected the European beach borders or beach line is protected. You just need to look at Spain and Italy and Greece. Every time you get these migrant boats, illegal migrant boats, trying to cross the channel, trying to get across, they are intercepted immediately. And despite all of that, they keep trying their luck. So this indicates the desperation. On the one hand, the desperation of the immigrants they probably are economic immigrants trying to get to Europe to perhaps start off a better life. On the other hand, it also indicates the just how proactive those European governments are, that they have these watertight, sea navy and of course army, that they patrol their borders so very efficiently. That being said, perhaps this is just a ploy, and we're going to wrap up in a few minutes' time, but we do know that local elections are around the corner. So this is Ramaphosa's way of maybe trying to instill confidence in the ANC, knowing that they might lose in a very big way with local elections.
No, I think that the ANC has been losing. They are at 40%. There was no xenophobia, anything that took them to 40%. Before any xenophobia, if you are looking at the numbers, I was talking to one journalist yesterday, if they're already at 40%, the next step, if you take a straight line trend, they are going to be a 30-something% political party. In the metros around Joburg, they are a 30-something, not around, we call it Gauteng, Joburg now, around Gauteng. In fact, even in Durban, they are a 30-something party. And they are going to reduce, with or without the xenophobia. So the xenophobia is irrelevant. Where we are today, the DA and the ANC are not growing. Both of them, those are two of our biggest parties. So there's no reason for them to get carried away about xenophobia. What we do need, to be honest, is to sit down, bring in that MK, ATM, all these guys who think they've got something to say, Action SA about this, put the data, bring in UCT, bring in UP, University of Pretoria, bring in WITS, get the data on the table, look at the data, look at the strengths we have, look at the resources we have, and come up with a credible plan. This one of fantasizing that you're going to come with a whole tsunami that will lift 1.2 million foreigners out of South Africa and flood jobs into the townships, is not going to happen. That is a fantasy, a reckless fantasy, that unfortunately is going to give birth to criminality and murder.
My final question then, there has been suggestions that there's some sort of a third force at play here, creating the mischief, creating the sense that undocumented immigrants are taking away jobs and much needed services from the poorest of the poor in the townships. They're creating creating pressure on education, health, housing, and employment. So clearly, it does suggest that there is a third force or mischief makers at play here, creating this hysteria amongst the people.
It has always been like that since 1994. As I said to you, and this needs to be understood, that Mandela takes power in April 1994. He doesn't know where the hell he is. He's coming out of prison. He doesn't know what's happening, taking over power for the first time. The ANC has never been in power. And in December, people launch xenophobic attacks. There's not been any census. There's not been any job statistics related to the people of Alexander. They arm themselves and they go and start killing foreigners in order to improve their economic position. Alex has participated diligently in xenophobia. They collapsed the Alex Renewal Project. They produced the mafia, the Alex Mafia. Their economic position of people of Alex, they've never become rich by killing any foreigner, never. Their economic position has not improved. So there is a third force, no question about it, that is behind this. It has been behind this since 1994, and it has been maintained. And I want to put it clearly that the entire xenophobic violence in South Africa is a right-wing initiative. The parties, political parties that are leading this are actually leading an anti-African right-wing initiative, anti-Asian right-wing initiative in South Africa, politically speaking. And unfortunately, the end losers of it are going to be the Africans. The native Africans are going to be the losers, South Africans. They are going to be the losers in the same way that they were the overwhelming majority of losers in the July 2021 insurrection. They are going to die. They are going to be shot dead.
Sure. You paint a very bleak picture, and sadly, on that very negative note, we're going to wrap up. Undoubtedly, we're going to have many more discussions around this matter. But thank you indeed always for your deep insights on the political situation in South Africa. Sandile Swana, political and governance analyst right here on Salam Media. Go well, God bless. It is exactly 8:32 a.m. This is News and Views on Salam Media. Please stay with us. Lots more coming your way. And of course, do become a part of the conversation.
Soweto, it's time to stand together for justice, peace, and solidarity. Join us for the annual Soweto Walk for Gaza, taking place on Saturday, the 20th of June at 7:30 a.m. The walk will begin at the historic Regina Mundi Church and proceed to the monumentous Dlamini Mosque, bringing together people of all faiths, backgrounds, and communities in a powerful show of unity and support. Bring your family, friends, and fellow residents as we walk together for a common cause. Let your voice be heard and your presence counted. That's the annual Soweto Walk for Gaza, Saturday, the 20th of June at 7:30 in the morning, starting at Regina Mundi Church and ending at Dlamini Mosque. Together we walk, together we stand, together we show solidarity.